Welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast, Dave. We are on episode 81. Holy smokes, 81 episodes in a row. How are you doing today?
Great. I'm doing really great. I'm starting to get a little nervous, though, because we're going to be out of numbers soon, and we still don't know the plan for that. And I enjoy doing the research and learning about these different athletes. So we talked about it before. We're going to have to figure out something else. So I am getting a little nervous. Still 19 weeks to go, but we're getting close.
Well, 19 weeks, that puts us into the new year, so I think we'll be all right?
Yeah, it'll be all right. We'll have to come up with something fun.
Yeah. Well, we're officially, when this episode gets released, we're officially in October. Just want to give you guys the open, like a little fair warning. This is an episode we recorded before my race. So last week you got the race preview. Next week you'll get the race post-race edition. We just, with timing and things, we just had to get 2 episodes recorded this week. So we are recording this before my race, and you'll get it after my race, 2 weeks away from the race recap. So without further ado, Dave, episode number 81. Why don't you jump into episode number 81 with some numbers for us?
Sure. First one, T.O. Is there anything else I need to say other than T.O.? For those of you who maybe don't know, Terrell Owens. Long-time great wide receiver. Started off as a San Francisco 49er. Took some snaps in Philly. He went over to Dallas. Get your popcorn ready. That's my quarterback. He's a complete mess. But he is probably the greatest 81 of all time, and it's not even close.
Yeah, you forgot to mention he was a Bengal in there too, and a Buffalo Bill. He did a bunch of shit. And he may be and the dude is so fit, he probably could still play in the league. It's absolutely absurd. I'll never forget the Philadelphia breakup where he was doing crunches in the driveway. Remember, talking to the reporters. One of the fittest,
so
if not the fittest football player I had ever seen in my entire life. I had the opportunity. For those of you that don't know, I love him as he was a 49er, right? An all-time great 49er. He'll go down. He was a great Cowboy. He played in his only Super Bowl when he was in Philly, which is another historic feat of recovery when he broke his ankle and literally played in the Super Bowl like a month later. He was like sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber and literally played in the Super Bowl a month after a broken ankle and went out in the Super Bowl and absolutely crushed against the Patriots, and they just couldn't beat him.
And that was... You said that was his only Super Bowl appearance?
Yeah, he never played in the Super Bowl with the 49ers.
That's staggering to me, given the fact that he played 8 years alongside Jerry Rice.
Yep.
That's amazing, if you think about it, that he never got to a Super Bowl with Jerry Rice alongside of him. That's shocking to me.
Yeah,
how about the numbers here? 153 touchdowns, just under 16,000 yards, 6 Pro Bowls, 5-time All-Pro, and he was on the All-Decade team in the 2000s. I mean, stud.
Maybe his most famous catch, even though he did play in the Super Bowl with the Eagles, was when he caught one over the middle and he got sandwiched by 2 guys against the Packers. I think Jeff Garcia threw that football.
Yep.
And he was crying his eyes out.
Yep.
That was a good freaking, 49er team that never won a Super Bowl after Steve Young. They won games with Jeff Garcia. They won playoff games with Jeff Garcia. And he never got over the hump in San Francisco. A little bit, obviously you alluded to it, a little bit of a basket case, but just from a football standpoint, just an all-time football player, all-time top 5. I don't care where you put top 5 wide receiver, top 3. I mean, obviously it's Jerry Rice and then maybe him, or Jerry Rice, then Randy Moss, or you want to put him in any order, but he's definitely a top 5 receiver of all time, if not top 3 for me. And like I said, the dude could probably still suit up and play in the NFL right now at his age because he's just that fit, and it's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
I actually still have. I don't have it for this episode, but I collect old magazines, newspaper articles, and stuff from like when the Red Sox broke the curse in 2004. I have some of the newspaper articles in Sports Illustrated. I still have the ESPN the magazine. When I hope everyone remembers when he caught a touchdown on Monday night and he went into his sock and grabbed a Sharpie, signed the football, and gave it to the kid in the crowd. I still have the ESPN the magazine cover where it's him saying, guys, and it's one of the truest statements I've ever heard from an athlete. He said, guys are beating their wives and getting DUIs, and I get national attention over a Sharpie. I'll never forget it. I still have it. I mean, I wish I had it with me right now. It's in a box. But yeah, say what you will about his attitude and his diva and all that stuff, but the dude just was put out on the football field.
Yeah, I showed Bryce some of T.O.'s best celebrations not too long ago because, as you know, Bryce loves playing football, and he always, after he'll make a great catch or something, he always does some kind of dance, and I get all over him about it. I'm like, you gotta stop, you're not good enough for that yet. But he does the gritty because that's what Jefferson does, and he does CeeDee Lamb's thing, and it's funny. So I was like, let me show you the all-timer of celebrations, and the Sharpie one came out, and I was just like, I remember that game like it was yesterday.
There's speaking of, there's 3 celebrations that stand out to me in recent times. The Sharpie, when Ocho Cinco put on the Hall of Fame jacket, when Zeke jumped into the Salvation Army bin. Those are the 3 that always stick out to me.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So good.
Anyways, keep moving along on this list. What else we got?
Another great 81 from the Oakland Raiders, Tim Brown. Okay, over 1,000 receptions in his career, almost 1,100, almost 15,000 yards. But I didn't realize this. In his rookie season, he was most notable for returning kicks. Get this: 41 returns, 1,100 yards total. 1 touchdown. He averaged 26.8 yards a return.
It's insane.
That's good.
That's insane.
That's real good.
If it wasn't for Jerry Rice, he would have been the greatest wide receiver of that generation because he unfortunately played alongside Jerry Rice. But a legendary Raider. Yeah. Pretty sure he played at Notre Dame, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He was I think he was a Heisman winner at Notre Dame.
What do they call him? A Golden Domer? Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Your favorite team, Notre Dame.
My absolute favorite college football team. Actually, I have a family member that went to Notre Dame, a distant family member that went to Notre Dame and graduated and got undergrad there. You can only imagine what it costs to go to Notre Dame, by the way.
It's got to be outrageous.
Yeah. And
brutal.
The next guy on this list, let me apologize. I'm a bit of a T.O. homer, okay? That's all I'm going to say. That's the caveat. Because the next guy arguably could have been the greatest wide receiver to ever play football, but he retired young. And we don't even need to say his real name. He's known as Megatron. Right? If T.O. was a physical freak, then what do you call this guy? A robot. Megatron. Calvin Johnson.
You have to.
He is probably arguably the most talented wide receiver to ever play the game, but I guess for personal reasons, maybe when you play your entire career in Detroit and never won a damn thing, it forces you to retire young. But if you want to talk about someone with the most literally unstoppable player at his position of all time, Megatron has to be it. The dude was just a freak.
Yeah, nobody can stop him. Yeah, he was.
He was a tight end with wide receiver speed. He was that big and strong as the Kittles of the world, name the great tight ends, Kelsey, Kittle, Hawkinson, but he was so much faster than those guys.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just nuts.
There was nobody that could stop him. And when he retired, at time of retirement, he held records for most reception yards in a season at 1,964. And most consecutive games with 100 or more receiving yards at 8.
Yeah.
Those are some pretty gaudy numbers right there. He was All-Pro 3 times and All-Decade Team in the 2010s.
Isn't that crazy? He was only All-Pro 3 times. Dude, don't ever forget my favorite Calvin Johnson stat of all time. Unfortunately, came against your Dallas Cowgirls. If you remember, this is a long time ago now, but back in 2013, he had 329 yards receiving in a game against the Cowboys.
Not surprised.
Think about that number. That's what quarterbacks throw. That's a great game for a quarterback to throw 300. He had over 300 receiving in a game.
Think about it. That's like 3.5 games for Ryan Tannehill. No, it's crazy. Dude. It is crazy. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to let you take the hockey one because you are a resident hockey fanatic.
Okay. He actually is a great hockey player. Miriam
I
Hossa
know that's
is
why
a
he's on the list.
three-time Stanley Cup winner. I'm pretty sure the majority of his career he was a Blackhawk.
Yes,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
believe you're right.
Yeah, 3-time Stanley Cup winner. Great player. We can talk about his legendary 1,134 points, but then that would just be doing a disservice to the great one, Wayne Gretzky. But I mean, not too shabby. 1,134 points. You know what I mean? Great skater. Everything about him good. I'm glad we had a hockey guy this week because once again, as we're climbing, we're running out of options here besides football. So no shade thrown towards hockey, but Miriam Hossa with 1,134 points, stud 3-time winner of Lord Stanley's Cup. So, which is, side note, the greatest trophy in sports. Am I right?
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
I don't know
think
if
there's any question there.
I don't know if there's anything better than that. The claret jug for me, I don't know why it's small, but the claret jug, like when they win the Open over in England or wherever they're playing, claret jug is fucking cool.
The pure size of the trophy, though, and the fact that they like etch it all in, like, and it's like chrome. It's so great.
I mean, the NBA title's not cool. Major League Baseball is kind of cool. That's kind of got a cool trophy. The Major League Baseball trophy is pretty cool.
It's okay.
But
the like the NCAA tournament when you win a national championship, awful.
NCAA tournament, it's a fucking plaque. That's all it is. You win a plaque.
It's awful. The BCS trophy used to be cool. The college football playoff one sucks now.
Yeah. Tennis trophies are not that cool. Like Wimbledon, and a lot of times you win you get the gold trophy's cool. The women win a plate. I'm just trying to think. Oh, I mean, the green jacket at Augusta National is pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, but we're talking trophy.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it is the trophy of the tournament, but I don't know. I don't look at them the same.
Yeah. No, I actually think you get a trophy too, don't you, or a medal or something when you win the Masters?
I don't know.
Guess what? I'll never play Augusta in my life, so I'm not too worried about it. So.
Same.
I would step up to the first tee box at Augusta, take one hack, and they would ask me to leave the course.
They kick you off the course. Sorry, sir, you're going to need to go.
You cannot be here. You need to go. Sorry. I don't care what you paid to get on. You got to go. But anyway, so yeah. Sure. So that's our numbers. 81 good solid football list, good hockey player in there. Bible verse comes from 1 Thessalonians, and it's I have my Bible over here. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 11, and it's encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. Once again, as we preach, get your shit together, get your house in order. We are in some wacky ass times in the world. You got to build each other up, man. You got to be there. You got to be there for one another. And Thessalonians has a lot of great verses. And the nice thing about Thessalonians is it's very short. There's 2 books of the Thessalonians, 1st and 2nd. They're both very short. They're both good reads with a lot of wisdom, good knowledge. And this is just one that I thought, in today's day and age, Dave and I are super close. We're always there for each other. If I had a shitty day, he gets on me. If he's having a shitty day, I get on him. And I think that's so important right now, is to just build each other up, encourage one another, and be there for each other. And I think that's a good verse for the show today. So
there's a great verse for the show today, and I love you put in the topics today, and you surprised me with them. So let's
dude.
Let's share with the audience what we're doing today.
We had to record an episode, and as you guys know that listen to the show, we usually have something fun, or we get on 1 or 2 big topics that we go long-winded on and we want to talk about. But today, because this is like an in-between episode, the 2 race episodes, I decided to go with a full Force Father variety show. And what I mean by that is I came up with just a bunch of quick-hitting topics that we're going to just bang right through them. May take 10 seconds, may take a minute, may take 5, whatever it takes. There's about 15 of them that we're going to hit. Actually, the coolest thing ever, this is the first time that we've integrated a couple questions from our listeners. One of Andine's coworkers listens to the show religiously. Every week, she never, ever misses an episode. She put a couple questions that she actually texted to my wife and said, hey, what's this answer to this question? Or blah, blah. So, okay, I threw a couple listener questions there, which we love doing, by the way. So please, if you have questions or anything like that, send them over. Text us, message us, find us on socials, and send them to us. But anyways, without further ado, Dave, the first quick hitting topic is coming your way. You ready?
I'm ready.
What is the fastest way to save $1,000?
Sell a bunch of stuff in your house. If you've already sold a bunch of stuff, go get a job anywhere and work for a month and you'll have saved $1,000. Piece of cake.
Cool. Good. I like that. Second question.
All right.
This one actually came from an audience, from an audience or a listener. And this is I guess we both can answer this question, but when are we going to have our first guest on the show? Because we did have the one episode where we did have Carp, but he's a good friend and I was in South Carolina at the time, but like an actual guest. When are we going to have a guest, Dave?
How do you throw that to me? I mean, we technically did have a guest. When are we going to have another guest? I think we should do it soon. I think we got to start expanding to some of the listeners that are out there, start bringing in some other fathers who are doing some amazing things, living the full force life. So I think we should do it soon.
Okay.
Before the end of the year. How's that sound?
Yes, I was just going to say before New Year's. So we are in October. That gives us 4 episodes in December, 4 episodes in November, and 3 more episodes in October. What's that? 8, 11? Roughly 11? So let's make a point within the next 11 episodes to get a guest. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. Next question is a follow-up to that question. If you could choose one and only guest to have on the show, who would it be and why? Do you want to go first or me?
I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. Cameron Haynes. No questions asked. Cameron Haynes. And the reason why. He's a father. I love his story. It's hard work. He's the best elk hunter in the world. That's a side note. That'd be cool to just talk about elk hunting with him. But to talk about his mentality, a kid from Oregon, college dropout, worked 30 years at the power company, and became a world famous bow hunter. But he's also a great dad. He's got 3 kids. I love his motivation. I love to run long distance, and he does the internship. So for me, Cam Haynes, go ahead.
That's pretty good. I'm not overly surprised that you said that one though. So that one didn't catch me off guard. If I could pick one, I'd probably say Dave Ramsey. How could I not?
Right.
I've molded most of my financial planning from him, from his words of wisdom and his teachings. I now work at Ramsey Solutions, and I can't think of anybody that could help share more of a great message with our audience than him. So he's a dad of 3, he's a grandfather now, so he's certainly got fatherhood in him. So yeah,
good one. I like that one. He would definitely be in my top 5 if I could take 5 separate guests, because when it comes to finances, there's nobody better in the world. And that's a big part of Full Force Fathers, right? Faith, fitness, finances, no matter how you put them in. So, question kind of piggybacks off of our Bible verse today. Why, especially today, in today's day and age, is it so important to have a close, let's just say a band of brothers or a group of dads that you're just super, super close with, or friends? Excuse me. Why is it so important?
Well, it's important for a lot of reasons, but you just have to have somebody that you can trust, that's there for you all the time, right? That you can call to share your good news with, your bad news with, and it isn't going to judge you. Who knows you for you, who you are, the good parts, the bad parts, and somebody that you can just flat out count on. And I think that's the most important thing. I know that I can call you at any hour of any day, and you will pick up the phone. We've shared good times, bad times, and you need to have that. You need to have someone who you can talk to about things, because with all the craziness that's happening in this world right now, you cannot just do it alone in your own head, because you'll drive yourself fucking crazy. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. The word that comes to my mind is accountability. I like what you said there, though. Having somebody, and this is a perfect example of us this week. I was just dude, it's been a fucking terrible, I don't know, I would say months in this in this my current industry of the mortgage world. It's just been terrible. Rates are high, affordability is at an all-time low, home prices are at all-time highs, and it's just been so hard. And this week, just being able to rely on you and talk me off the cliff a few times of just, hey, do what's in front of you, control what you can control. So accountability, and someone, like you said, being there all the time doesn't just have to be one person. It can, if you have a band of brothers, right? I know when shit's slipping financially, there's Dave. If I just want to bullshit with someone, I have Frank. We have Carp. You know what I mean? There's just that tight knit group that we can lean on with each other. And band of brothers doesn't have to just be guys, right? You lean on your wife. You may have a friend, a coworker that's a woman that has great insight as well. So I just think accountability and being there for each other is the reason why I think it's so important. But man, listen, at the end of the day, it's hard to do shit on your own all the time. It really, really is. Mm-hmm. Next one. This is a quick.
Yeah, this next one, there's going to be two different answers to this.
For you?
Sort of different answers.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Oh, for you. I mean, you're going to give a different story than I am. But how did you two meet? Was the question we had from one of our listeners, which is a great question. And funny enough, we grew up in the towns next to each other. What's that?
Do you want the truth or do you want your version?
The truth is my version. You're the fabricator of the group. There's no doubt about that. I think anyone we ask would tell you that. So I'm just going to give you the truth, and then I'll let Brett share. No, why don't you go first? Why don't you share, and then I'll give everybody the actual truth.
So how did we meet and when we met are two different things. I met Dave for the first time physically, like shook his hand and introduced myself to him. We were living in Arizona. We were back in Connecticut for a visit. It was fall break. And Casey, Dave's wife, and Andine used to work together. So they were always, friends with each other. So they were talking about Arizona. And so they invited us over on a random night when we were in town. So we pulled over to Dave's. I met him literally for the first time. Like, obviously I knew who he was. He knew who I was. Our dads know each other, yada, yada, yada. That's the first time I ever met Dave was at his house in Torrington, Connecticut. But how this, how did like the meat, that was like the meat, but like the crux of the whole thing is then Dave was homeless, looking for a place to stay, stuck his thumb out, and he slept on my couch for a couple weeks. That's how we really became a band of brothers. So go ahead, tell your fabricated story now, Dave.
Well, you brought it a little bit more into reality because you only said a couple weeks. You have been telling people a month, which is not true. But yeah, so Brett and I grew up town next to each other, didn't actually meet until a few months before I moved to the state of Arizona, went out there for an interview and was staying at a hotel, but I went up and met you and your family for dinner, which was super cool. You guys showed me the area, a lot of fun. Within 3 weeks, I moved out there with my suitcase, and that's it. And I stayed in Finley's room for ended up being about 10 days, actually. I was only supposed to be there for...
We both compromised. You've come up a little bit. We've compromised because I used to say a month, and you used to say 2 nights.
Yeah.
Now you're up to 10. See, the truth is coming out.
Well, it was supposed to be like 4 nights.
Yep.
And then I had gotten an Airbnb, prepaid for the Airbnb. That's a long story that maybe we'll share sometime. But I showed up at this Airbnb, and I was not the only person staying at the Airbnb. There was an Asian dude sitting on a couch smoking a cigarette.
Holding a backpack.
When I walked in, I just turned around, holding a backpack, turned around, called your wife, said, I need to come back. Is that okay?
And I was at the dealership working. It was like 9:00 at night, and Andine calls me and she goes, "Hey, Dave's coming back." I'm like, "Huh?" And I'll never forget. I wasn't running a deal or anything, and I came out of my office and went outside and called you. I'm like, "Dude, you're good, man. Just come by the house." Because I'll never forget. Dark room, cigarette smoke, Asian guy sitting on the couch with a backpack. Like I'll never forget.
Yeah. It was unbelievable. And that was the only moment in my life. Like I was terrified. I was in a new city. Casey and the kids were still back in Connecticut dealing with the sale of the house, finishing up school. Casey was finishing up work. And I'm in this new city. I only know you and your wife and your kids. And I've got nowhere to go. I was essentially homeless at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And know what to do. So thankfully you guys were here. Otherwise, I would have been racking up a huge tally at the hotel or something. But that's how we met and became friends. And needless to say, a lot has happened since then. But that's where it was
All
4 years ago.
So switching gears, and by the way, that question came from Lori, one of Andine's former coworkers. Thank you, Lori, for the question. It's a good one, and it's always funny to say it and talk about it. The two different versions, the truth and the not truth. But anyways, I'm going down the list of bullet points, but I'm going to bounce around because I want to keep on this theme because there's actually was two questions that came before that one, but the next one is in theme. When are the Fortons moving back to Arizona?
Well, if you ask Bryce or Kendall, they hope it's tomorrow. And dude, let me tell you, we miss Arizona. The whole family misses Arizona a lot. That being said, I'm really happy
Arizona.
where I'm at, what I'm doing right now. I think I'm where I need to be, where God's put me for this phase of my life. That being said, we will be back to Arizona at some point. My guess would be sometime within the next 12 to 15 years.
No, if there's a world in 12 to 15 years.
True. That's
Okay.
a great point. On the flip side, you move around all the time. You just like to drive back and forth across the country, which, I mean, I can respect that. But when are you guys going to be on the move again?
No current plans to be on the move. We will be back in Virginia next week for fall break. So we will be hanging out in Virginia for a week. No plans currently. For those of you that listen and live in the state of Arizona, the state is a dumpster fire right now with gas prices, the economy. It's completely unaffordable to live here right now without great paying jobs. Or if a company moves you or something along those lines, it's just really, really hard to be a first time home buyer in this state. Even though the state is still rapidly expanding, there's a lot of people coming from out of the state, California and Oregon, Washington, places like that. So technically no plans yet. And we'll see what happens. As you all know, I would live in the camper full time and I would never, ever live in a brick and mortar. I would stay in the camper all the time if it was my choice. But that's not my choice. But the girls are in a good spot right now. School is good. Finley, congratulations to my little Finn. Side note, she just won Kindergartner of the Month at her school, which was one of the best emails I've ever received. In a world full of shit where all the news is bad, to get that email was just, so amazing. So our little Finn.
That's awesome.
The kids are doing good in school. They're playing sports and all that stuff. So right now we're here, but that doesn't mean anything because you know me. Dave is planned. Andine is a planned person. I am a fly by the seat of my pants type of guy. So for now, nowhere is in the cards, but you never know. So next one. I want to go back up the list because I don't want to jump and then forget. This one is going to be a really quick, easy one. We don't need any explanations. Who is your favorite athlete of all time was a question that came in. Who's your favorite athlete of all time?
Do you have one already in mind? You can say yours if you know it.
Roger Federer.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Man, this is a tough one. So this is a really tough one for me. I'm gonna say Michael Jordan. I don't think we'll ever see greatness like that ever again.
Wayne Gretzky.
In a team
Wayne
sport.
Wayne Gretzky.
And you are such a Wayne Gretzky homer. I love it. Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Jordan's a good pick. Nothing wrong with that. Greatest basketball player ever. I did like this question. What is next? It's funny. We ask this question to each other all the time. What is next for our Full Force Fathers besides this podcast? What is next? This doesn't have to be a long-winded answer. Is there anything top of mind that comes to you? Like, what's next? Do you have any thoughts?
I've got a lot of thoughts. But you said don't be long-winded, so I'm trying to decipher exactly what you want here.
Whatever you want. Just do good. You go. Talk.
I want to get to a world with Full Force Fathers where we have a community of people that can support each other and be there for each other. And what do I mean by that? Maybe it's a brick and mortar place where we can do physical training, financial coaching, some of those things together. And in a world where we can do retreats where a group of guys can go catch up, figure out how to be the best versions of themselves for their families, as dads, as husbands, as brothers, cousins, whatever it is, the best version of themselves, and do it as a group. Do it as a group of people who are there for one mission: fitness, faith, finances, all those three together. That's what I see.
Yep. I'm just going to piggyback off that. I think the same thing. When we started this podcast, we went nuts in terms of ideas on an Excel spreadsheet. Like you said, the brick and mortar building. I think the next like easiest transition is obviously to continue the podcast going weekly, but to just do some one-on-one stuff. I hate the word coaching because there's so many coaches out there. I don't want to be a fucking coach. That's not what I'm talking about. But like, I love personal training people. So where fathers that are in need of physical training advice, they can come to fullforcefathers.com or whatever the website is, or someone that's really fucking swamped in debt or doesn't know their ass from their elbow when it comes to money, they can come to the financial side of it where you can give them a plan and things like that. But no, long term, it's to blow this thing up huge where there's, like you said, there's a community, there's, brick and mortar, there's all that stuff. But I think the next easiest transition would just to be to give a little bit more, right? Because I think that's the most important thing we can do in this world. You got to give to get. And we give this podcast every week. You know what I mean? We got to keep giving, because the more we give, the more we're going to get in terms of people changing their lives and dads becoming better. So that's what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Next question. This one actually was for me. It's actually funny. Andine is the one who came up with this one. I was talking to my wife. She goes, "Why don't you tell people what's next after mortgages if the fucking market continues to tank the way it is?" And I said, that's a fucking good question. That's a great question, because as you guys know, I've been in sales my whole life. My whole working life anyways, since I left Connecticut, I've always been in sales. And listen, I'm not going to mince words, man. The mortgage market fucking sucks, dude. And no matter how many relationships you build, you only get paid on transactions in this industry. And mostly that's what all sales is. It's transaction. You need transactions to get paid. And right now that's slow. But I am not giving up or anything like that. But to just pose that question to me, it makes you stop and think. It's like, what could I do? I could probably would go back to personal training part-time. And then I would, still stay licensed to where I could keep my license and throw a loan over the fence every once in a while. And then I probably would just go get a job. I've worked at Home Depot before. Like, I would probably go get a job, working there, just enough to make enough to get by, right? Try to, to make up for the salary difference. And then, the world's your oyster after that. You know what I mean? In terms of, obviously I would love to own a gym one day, and things like that. But if like it just happened and it ended quick, I think it goes right back to what you said about how could you get your $1,000? If you don't have shit to sell, go get a job. That's exactly what I would do. I would just say, pride comes before the fall. There'd be no pride here. I would just go get a job.
Yeah. I will say, though, what you said there, it is transaction based. It's not off the relationships you build, but it is off the relationships you build, and you build them better than anybody. If there's anybody listening that needs some help, go to Brett.
Yeah. Thanks for the plug.
I've done my fair share of transactions with you at this point, whether that be new buys, refinances, whatever it may be. The communication is spot on. I'm not just saying that because you're my best friend. I would tell you if your communication sucked or you weren't good at it, and you're phenomenal at it. And anybody would be lucky to work with you. So if you know anybody, send them Brett's way, please.
Licensed in many states, not just Arizona.
Licensed in many states. Virginia.
And I can do that. We can, and we can definitely help out in other states. So,
absolutely.
All right, this one's for you. The number one tip. This thing also came from Andine. I like how Andine chimed in on this.
This is great.
Dave's number one tip for saving money. I have an answer.
All right, so I told her what
my answer is. I want to know yours.
So I've got two for people in different stages of life. So If you're out of debt, the best thing you can do to save money is have something auto draw out of your checking account and go into a savings vessel, whether that be a retirement account, some kind of an account. Just auto draft it out. If you're in debt and you're consumed by debt, that was the best thing you could do to save money. Cut up your credit cards, leave your wallet at home, and take your license with you. That's all you need. And you won't spend money that way.
Mm-hmm. Mine was, those are both great tips. Mine was budget, because I was listening to the Ramsey show the other day, and I think it was Jade or one of them said, if you actually just do a budget, whether it's handwritten or you use their app or whatever the case may be, the average person finds like fucking $300 a month that they have extra. When you go out and just spend rando, like you don't know. But if you have a budget, you find money, and whether that, like you said, if it's whatever stage you're in, if it's debt, it goes to the debt. If you're not in debt, it goes to whatever savings vehicle you're going to use. So budget.
But you need to be committed to it. You can't just make the budget and it's going to do itself. You got to actually not spend the money on the shit you normally spend the money on. That's the key.
Yeah. That was my tip. Okay, switching gears.
Yeah.
Favorite fall dish. Dessert and dish and dinner, breakfast, whatever it is. Fall
you wrote
dish.
meal here, guys. So it's Thanksgiving.
Meal.
It's Thanksgiving dinner. No question about it. Not even close. Pumpkin pie is the dessert.
Pumpkin cheesecake from Andine and a Dave Traeger turkey is what mine is for the fall dish. I'm going to take this one first. Favorite single exercise.
Oof.
This one, I don't even know how to answer it. I'm going to take it first, but I don't really want to answer it because I don't want to talk for 30 minutes about it. For me personally, running is my favorite single form of exercise. But do I think that's the greatest exercise single? If you could only do one exercise for the rest of your life, I think it is personally, because you get the cardiovascular in there with the legs and the cardio and all that stuff. But if you're talking, you don't have a dollar and you need to just do a workout, I would do push-ups, because there's 1,000 different ways you can do a push-up, which would affect many, many different muscles: chest, back, arms, core. So I'd say a push-up for a single exercise if you're looking for something without a pot to piss in. You?
Running for me. Running's always been the best thing for me to shed weight, feel better, just get my energy levels up. So I would say running.
Okay. I like this one. Best advice you can give to a brand new or soon to be father.
Can I take this one?
Yep.
Jump in. Don't be afraid of anything. Just jump in and do everything you can. Spend as much time with your child as you can and just be there. Just be a dad. Be a dad. You hear so many stories of dads who are distant, who aren't in the picture, who just, I don't want to do that. That's the wife's job. No, plug in, change diapers, stay up late, feed the kid, whatever it may be, just plug in.
Yeah, I was going to say time. Spend time. Time is the only commodity. You can always make more money. It's the only commodity that there's a limited amount of it, and you don't ever get it back. Spend time with your kids as much as you can. I'm talking, like Dave said, change diapers, take them to school if you can, bring them, pick them up, coach a sports team, sit down and read a book. You name it. Spend time, as much time as you can with them, because it goes fast. I have a 13-year-old. Dave's got a 10-year-old. It just doesn't, you can't ever get it back. You can never press rewind on anything you've ever done in your life. So,
nope.
Like I said, you can always make more money, but you can never get time back.
Yep.
When will you become a financial coach, or are you currently one?
I am currently a financial coach, certified financial coach.
Good.
Which is something I love to do. It is a passion of mine. I started doing that back in 2018. Had a little side hustle business that I did in Connecticut. When I went to Arizona, I stopped doing it for money. I just kind of do it because I enjoy doing it, talking to people who have questions, and I can answer them. So already doing it.
Good.
I've got one for you.
Go ahead.
When are you going to become a physical trainer? You talk about it all the time. It is your true passion in life. I don't know if you actually admit that. Okay, good. You did. It's your passion in life, and I just want to know when you're going to do it.
So I did do it for a long time. I had multiple clients off the books, outside of the gym, and then I did do it at the gym. And have turned down plenty of opportunities to do it since, focusing on this mortgage career. But like I said, there's seasons for everything in life, and maybe that season's coming up next, depending on what happens. But I actually was just talking to my current boss and was like, hey, just want a heads up. I may pick up a few hours in the morning, down at one of the gyms, just teaching a couple classes, whether that's HIIT training or spin or whatever. But yeah, no, I think I'm going to eventually. I may be forced to do it sooner rather than later, but for me, the thing about physical training, and I don't want to be your run-of-the-mill certified personal trainer, because a certified personal trainer can go on to NASM and get their fucking certificate for $700 and go get a job at a gym, any big box gym. And I don't think I just don't think that's cool. And the reason why I say it is because you could be 300 pounds and become a certified personal trainer because you took an online class and you have a certificate, right? I'm a little bit more savage than that, than your standard run-of-the-mill certified personal trainer. If I was going to teach a class, or I could create a class or create a gym, it would be for other likewise savages, or people that want to completely transform their life through fitness and all the other steps, faith, finances. But if you really are trying to transform your life and get better, like truly get better, not just be your random, I go to the gym and run on the treadmill for 30 days, 30 minutes every morning, I go to the gym, that's not the type of client that I want. I want someone who's looking for a complete life transformation, both spiritually and physically. The physical comes, but everything's got to be locked in at the same time.
Love it.
Any more questions?
Yeah, I got one more. Since we're coming into the season of holidays, what is your favorite holiday and why?
This is a two-part answer for me. As a dad, it's Christmas, because it's for the kids. It's all about the kids, right? That's what it is for me. It's all about the girls and the joy that they get from the Santa Claus and the season and the decorations and the family together and the dinner and the whole package deal, Christmas. But for me personally, it's July 4th, just because it's summer and you're outside, the weather's good, you're celebrating something that's far under celebrated right now, and that's America's freedom. So, but for me, just overall, July 4th, as a family, it's Christmas.
My two favorites are coming up. Drum roll. Thanksgiving's number one. Not even close. It's always been my favorite holiday.
Mm-hmm.
I love everything about it. The food's amazing. Getting together with family or friends is always amazing. Football is going on, which is awesome. I just love everything about Thanksgiving. There's no pressure to it. It's one day. It's awesome. And then the weekend that follows it is great too. You always get Black Friday off and the weekend. So it's just a lot of fun. So Thanksgiving. And my other one is Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Love Halloween. As a dad, like the kids at their ages now, for the last few years, it has been amazing to get dressed up. Like I've actually gotten into it. I dress up with them every year now. We go out. And it's just a lot of fun just to become a kid again for a night, be there with them still in that moment, and sharing that joy with them is something I love to do. I love the kids decorated for me last weekend. I was gone, Casey and the kids. I came home and the whole house was decorated on the outside for Halloween. The inside's Halloween. I'm like, where did all this stuff come from? But I love it, and it's awesome. Yeah. We got a 5-foot skeleton on the front porch. It's great.
Yeah, you're a Halloween guy. You love dressing up with the kids. You love dressing up with the kids and stuff. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Halloween's up there for me. It's a top 3 or 4 for sure. Because once again, it's about the kids, man. Christmas, Halloween, those are kids' holidays. Thanksgiving's not a huge kid holiday because they don't get presents or anything. So it's just like, oh, it's we're having a turkey and you know what I mean, and the Pilgrims and the Indians and all that stuff. But for us, those are great holidays. But for kids, I don't think it's even close. It's definitely outside of birthday. It's Halloween and Christmas, for the kids. So, but anyways, that's your quick hitting episode. That's your variety show. Quick book recommendation. I don't know if I've shown this one before. I may have. If I have, I apologize. If not, it is How to Set Up Your Personal Brand for Under $1,000 by Dan Fleischman. If you don't know Dan Fleischman, he's a serial entrepreneur. He started lots of companies. He's very successful. He's another one of those silicone. I don't know if he's really so. But there's that whole crew of guys out in Utah that are just all unbelievable between him and Sean Whalen. Andy was out there last week. Keaton Haskins. All those are all those Utah guys. But anyways, it's a really cool. And see that in the middle of the book right there, that picture? That's your phone. That's where it all begins. How to build your personal brand on $1,000. Hey, if I start a gym one day, maybe that's what I'll do.
There you go. Love it.
That's your episode today. Be on the lookout next week for the race recap. And take us home, Dave.
Yeah, everybody, get out there, continue to live the full forest life. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We're looking forward to talking with you more next week. We'll work on getting a guest on the show. And hey, we said we want to give back. We want to do more. If you need some financial advice, if you need some physical fitness advice, just reach out to us. We're here. We want to build a community. Let's help get this message out to as many dads as we can. Share, like, subscribe, do all those things. 5-star reviews, they always help. See you next week.